ever survived their first 2 years. If I remember right. I mean, it was, any other organization would have gotten thrown out on their ear. I mean, the entirety of Como Park was trashed for probably the first at least 5 or 6 years. And noise problems were terrible. The parking problems were very, very terrible. Frankly, I don't think there was a lot of police stuff. But I mean, it was to the extent of, I remember, first couple anyway, rumor has it, I don't know if it was true or not, people were being garbage from home. They didn't know any better. That on the side, it was really bad. And anybody ever have any insight as to how actually this survived when probably no other organization would have been able to survive that?
You're right, because I was in some of the very early years too, and I remember sitting there going, oh my Lord. Because there was trash everywhere. One of the things I think it's two-part. I think number one, the leadership in the city really stepped up and things were different 20, 30 years ago in general. But I think the leadership of the city and the leadership of the Lau family came together, and the Lau family wanted this to be a successful event. They didn't want to see garbage blowing through the neighborhoods and everything else. And it was, I think the city worked with the Lau family to make improvements, which is when, the fence started going up and we took the food vendors and all the grease and the oil and stuff off of the ball fields. And it's been a long process.
Well, I realize that my question was how, why the city would even have gone to the steps, because most organizations, I think, have gone, motorcycle gang would be Catholic Charities,
I think it's because, go ahead, Steve.
I mean, to echo what Karen, I think there was a lot of political will to see this success, really, from the elected officials at that time, 32 years ago. I think there was a lot of...
Blame it on George Latimer.
Yeah, there was a lot of pride in,
George,
in the success of the Hmong population then and now.
The Lau community wanted to make this better, whereas sometimes we'll have events that don't go well, and the organizers of the event they're not interested in making improvements, they're not interested in making changes.
Yeah, it didn't have anything to do with them, although let me compliment you on the improvements that you've done, on the show that you're putting on. It's way above and beyond whatever I think anybody ever thought of when it first started. My question, I suppose, is mostly the city. I guess maybe there is not an answer. And maybe the best answer was the politicians wanted it to keep going. So.
Well, also because, just a little history about this, but this event started 32 years ago at Harriet Island with just a few Hmong families who, after the Vietnam War, when the Hmong were part of the CIA and lost the war, they came to the United States and many landed in Minnesota. And so they decided to gather for the summer, and they would gather during the July 4th dates just to have picnics and barbecues. And so this was kind of like a gathering of some Hmong people. And so it started with a very small group and then expanded to the sites that we're currently seeing today. And they did that to support each other and to have a feeling of belonging and that this is their community too. And so from there, there are a majority of Hmong who live in California and Minnesota. And so in Minnesota, the census, I think, stated that there's about 60,000 Hmong in Minnesota. And so we're the second largest state with the Hmong American population. This event, so I think, maybe what Karen mentioned about the city having that political will, or Commander Frazier mentioned that, is probably right, because the Hmong were part of the United States CIA and helped with that, and then came here because they lost that.
Let's just leave that go, because I've got a lot of friends that died in that frickin' war. I don't